If you like audiobooks or audio shows, check out a free trial of Audible. Just click the link in the description. This is Mindshock True Crime, and you are listening to Jessica Chambers, Episode 1, A Heinous Crime. One of the most appalling and shocking crimes in recent history. The burning murder of a 19-year-old cheerleader, Jessica Chambers. And we will be going over all the details of the case and what is known and less known about it, as well as the mistrials and all of the court issues that are ongoing. I am your host, Bruce McGuire.
And Maxwell Powers.
If you like the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. If you like the video, hit the like button. Feel free to share it across social media platforms. Like our Facebook page, and you could also check us out on Twitter, Reddit, and Patreon. All right, Maxwell. So what do you know about this case? Have you heard about this case? This was December 6th, 2014, when Jessica Chambers was set on fire in Courtland, Mississippi, and died several hours later from her injuries.
Yeah, I heard about it in the news, and a recent article. It's it's pretty bad.
So what do you think? Overall, I mean, I can't really think of too many cases more heinous and appalling. I mean, that's got to be one of the worst ways to die, to just get burned.
Yeah, and I was wondering if it was suicide at first, but I guess it's not because she said something.
All right, let me go over all the details, and then we will dissect it. So once again, yes, this was Courtland, Mississippi, very small town, December 6th, 2014. This is from the Unsolved Mysteries Wiki. Case details. At 8:10 p.m. on December 6th, 2014, 19-year-old Jessica Chambers was found burning next to her car, which was also on fire. She suffered burns on all of her body. A flammable liquid had been poured on her body, down her throat, and up her nose. Early the next morning, she passed away as a result of her injuries. Jessica's car keys were later found along a road near the crime scene. Her cell phone was examined by authorities in order to determine her movements on the day of the murder. They determined that she had spent the morning with two friends. She later went to her mother's house where she took a nap. Later in the afternoon, she left after receiving a text from someone. She told her mother that she was going to get something to eat and clean out her car. At around 5:30 p.m., she went to a gas station about a mile and a half from where her body was found. This was the last time she was seen alive. Location data from her phone showed that she went to nearby Batesville around 6 p.m., but returned to Courtland around 6:30 p.m. It is not known what she was doing in Batesville. About 15 minutes later, she called her mother. Her mother noticed that it was unusually quiet. At 7:30 p.m., she drove to the area where she was found about a half hour later. Authorities have yet to identify any suspects, and the case remains unsolved. Suspects, none known, as she was being treated by first responders. She allegedly said that someone named Eric or Derek attacked her. However, no suspects were found with that name. Nearly everyone from the area with those names was questioned, but they were all ruled out. Her boyfriend was also questioned and ruled out, as he was in jail at the time. Results unsolved. In February of 2016, Quinton Tellis was indicted on a capital murder charge in Jessica's death. He had prior convictions for burglary, drug possession, and fleeing from police. He had also been arrested in 2015 for the murder of another woman, Meng Chen Xiao, whose credit cards he was caught using after her death. In Jessica's case, investigators connected him through cell phone and text records. The two had known each other for a few weeks and allegedly were romantically involved. He was also the last person who texted her before her death. Tellis changed his story about the day of the murder several times. Initially, he claimed to have only been with her during the morning. He claimed that he had gone to a store in Batesville around the time she was murdered. Surveillance video showed him at the store at 8:26 p.m., more than 15 minutes after the fire was discovered. However, location data from their cell phones showed that the two were together until around 7:30 p.m. He had traveled to and from Batesville at the same time as her. When told of this, he changed his story, saying that he was with her until around 7 p.m. He claimed that a friend of his picked him up that night. However, when authorities questioned Tellis's friend, he said that he had gone to a football game in Nashville that night. His attendance at the game was confirmed, disproving Tellis's alibi. When confronted with the discrepancies, Tellis changed his story yet again. He said that Jessica picked him up that night and the two went to a Taco Bell in Batesville. He claimed that the two went back to his house and sat in his driveway listening to music. He claimed that she left his driveway at 7 p.m. However, her phone's location data and surveillance video from a gas station next to his home indicate that she left at 7:30 p.m. and drove to the area where she was later found on fire. Authorities felt that it was extremely unlikely that Jessica encountered someone else in the 30 minutes between leaving Tellis's home and being discovered on fire. A sample of his DNA was taken, which was found to match DNA taken from her car keys. It was discovered that her keys were found along a path between the crime scene and his sister's home. Surveillance video showed a vehicle believed to be his sister's stopping briefly at his home at 7:50 p.m. before driving towards the crime scene. Surveillance video also helped show that Tellis had changed his clothes 3 times that day. Wow, that's kind of weird. How often have you changed your clothes 3 times in the same day?
I've done it a few times.
Like going back when you're going out back and forth? I mean, you have your home outfit, you have maybe a casual outfit and a less casual outfit. I mean, that would be two. 3 times? That's kind of excessive for a man, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, you work out, change, and then you work out again, or go swimming, and then go to an outing or something. I don't know.
Well, from the context here, it seems like we're not talking workout clothes or swim clothes. We're talking just walk around street clothes. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know. But if it's, if you're going to go to the store, you're going to go change, go to another store, go change, go out again. Within an
I see.
hour of Jessica's death, Tellis had deleted all communications with her from his phone and stopped checking on her, even though they had been in constant contact in the days prior. I mean, this is all looking pretty damning to me. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
The deleted messages showed that in the week prior to her death, he repeatedly asked to have sex with her. Each time she denied his request. The messages also showed that she had denied him sex 4 times on the day of her death. Prosecutors believe that while in Tellis's driveway, he tried to have sex with her. However, she resisted. They believe that he became enraged and suffocated her until she was unconscious. In order to distance himself from the crime, he then drove her car to the area where it was later found. He then ran on foot to his sister's home nearby, took her car, picked up gasoline from his home, and then returned to Jessica's car and set it on fire with her inside. Tellis's defense claimed that the person whom Jessica identified as Eric or Derek was the real killer. Tellis told police that a sex offender named Derek Holmes was stalking Jessica. Residents claimed to have seen the two together. However, he was ruled out by investigators based on his alibi and several interviews. Furthermore, doctors and other experts noted that it would have been difficult for her to say anything properly due to the injuries in her mouth and throat. Furthermore, Jessica did not use her phone to talk to anyone named Eric or Derek in the 30 days prior to her death. In October of 2017, Tellis went on trial for Jessica's murder. Initially, the verdict was read as not guilty. However, it was discovered that the jury misunderstood the instructions, as many of them had voted for guilty. I don't understand how you can misunderstand instructions. What the heck? An hour later, the jury returned and said that they could not reach a verdict. A mistrial was declared. A new trial began on September 24th, 2018, in a different county. However, during that trial, a mistrial was once again declared. Prosecutors are deciding whether to retry Tellis a third time for the murder. He still faces murder charges in the death of Meng Chen Xiao. Okay, there's quite a few weird things here. So, let's say Quinton Tellis didn't kill her, but he knew who did. Maybe personally, maybe through mutual friends, if he's a drug dealer criminal who also kills other people, and he didn't want to be implicated, would that be why he deleted all communication? Because he knew that Jessica was involved with someone else and maybe was in the air. I mean, it's kind of hard. I'm trying to think about this from all angles. Initial impression, it looks really, really, really bad for Quinton Tellis, but there's quite a few problems and anomalies that we of course have to go over because this is Mindshock and we have to go down every rabbit hole because we don't know for sure. We weren't there. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, if he's also, let's say he's a pathological liar. I mean, if we're dealing with a drug dealer with a low IQ who also happens to be a pathological liar, I'm not saying he's any of these things. I'm saying if he is, could that explain his behavior without him being guilty of Jessica Chambers' murder?
Yeah. Mm, yeah.
The other thing I find weird is why would he burn her? I mean, that doesn't seem to be the go-to method for killers. It's strange. I mean, why, I don't know.
The thing I'm thinking of is I'm thinking he believed or thought that if he burnt her and the the vehicle, I guess fingerprints and like semen or I don't know, whatever.
But they have his DNA on her keys.
Oh, jeez.
But I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. I didn't really consider that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. So he thought that was the best way to get rid of all the evidence. That's kind
I'm
of
thinking. I'm thinking because like I don't know. Maybe he panicked. He killed her by accident, or well, actually he wasn't killed yet. But was he? Was there damage to her besides the burning? Because it's. I mean, there was no struggle before. No evidence of struggle before the fire. It's kind of. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Like there was just poured gasoline and she just burnt next to her car.
all right. Let's try to get some more details here. Here's an article, Clarion Ledger. This was published September 26th, 2018, written by Teresa Apel. When asked Eric who, Jessica Chambers replied, "No." What does that mean to the case? A Panola County deputy who spoke with Jessica Chambers the night she was burned alive said that when he asked her Eric who, she replied no. I don't know if she was saying no, not Eric, or no, I don't know his last name, said Deputy Chuck Tucker from the witness stand Wednesday in the retrial of Quinton Tellis in the 2014 burning death of the Courtland teen. Tellis's first trial last year ended in a hung jury. We couldn't understand anything she was saying. The questioning of first responders who were at the scene the night of Chambers' attack continued from Tuesday into Wednesday. As they spoke, most of them said what Chambers had said when asked, "Who did this to you?" Sounded like Eric. Emergency medical technician Bradley Dixon took the stand and testified that Chambers' face was severely burned with skin hanging off her lips and coming out of her nose. She was hard to understand, raspy. It was terrible, he said. We couldn't understand anything she was saying. Dixon said Chambers spoke 3 words to him and that they were all distorted. OHL, which he interpreted as cold, Ursi, which he interpreted as thirsty, and Ewe, EH-WEH, Ewe, Quinton, Ewe, I don't know. Eric was the name that closest resembled what we heard, he said. She was only speaking 1 word at a time, not full sentences like us. Chambers' skin and beneath were so burned that they couldn't put in an IV, paramedic Josh Perkins said. He went on to say that Chambers was not actually answering questions at times, and when nobody was talking to her, she was staring straight ahead. What it amounted to, he said, was that she was in shock. Both Tucker and Deputy Daryl House testified that they asked Chambers if her attacker was black or white, and she told them he was black. She could barely speak, House reiterated. I asked her if it was her boyfriend, and she said no. When Tucker echoed House's story that Chambers had identified her attacker as black, defense attorney Alton Peterson was quick to ask him how he was sure that she said black, but he wasn't sure that she said Eric. Black and white are 2 different sounds, Tucker said. Processing the scene. Lieutenant Edward Dixon, no relation to Bradley Dixon, took the stand to testify about processing the scene. He told the jury he found Chambers' cell phone not far from her burning car. The back was separated from it, as indicated in pictures entered into evidence. Here's another thing, though. If the cell phone was close by, why didn't, if it was Quinton or whoever the murderer was, they could have picked it up real quick. We also don't know the exact logistics of, did he knock her out or hit her in the car and then drive her to the location? I mean, how did that all work? Because the cell phone was not far from the vehicle. Why didn't he take it or smash it? I don't know. Why didn't he do it? Because he knew if he's deleting his own text messages and communications, why is he leaving her phone there? Because obviously, even if he's not thinking about police warrants and all of that, going through all the cell records, if he's just thinking physical on his phone, on her phone, why leave her phone? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
It's almost like,
Yeah.
again, I don't want to immediately start jumping to a frame up job, but if somebody was trying to frame Quinton Tellis, they would want her phone to be there, right? So that they could see that she talked to him last, right? That looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
That looks
Yeah. I
real
guess.
bad. If they knew about that. I don't know. There was also burned clothing found at the scene, he testified, sent shortly thereafter to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives for analysis. Lieutenant Dixon said he didn't know what happened to the clothing or to the report that would have come back from the lab. On redirect, District Attorney John Champion got Dixon to explain that he was not the lead investigator, simply an investigator assigned to collect evidence at the scene. Peterson hammered on the investigator, asking questions about how much of the scene he had roped off and had he included the area from which Chambers came when she approached first responders, an area about 30 feet from where the car was. Dixon explained that it was hard to process the scene that night because of the continuing chaos, but that he had taped off the entire area and had returned to the scene the next day to scour it in the daylight. Dixon also described photos to the jury that showed the interior and exterior of the car after it was towed to the Panola County Sheriff's Department impound lot. It was noted several times that the passenger side seat was reclined. So I suppose that means that someone was in the vehicle, although does that mean they were in the vehicle recently? I don't know. Strange hitchhiker. During questioning of the firefighters, both the prosecution and defense dwelled on a call of a smoked up house that came just before the call for Chambers' car fire. On Wednesday afternoon, the reason for that call became clear when a new witness testified for the prosecution. Sherry Flowers, a Courtland resident, had just been to a funeral and repast for her cousin on December 6, 2014. When the weather started to get cold, she packed up her grandchildren to take them home to get coats. On the way back, Flowers noticed a man flagging her car, presumed to be Tellis. She pulled over thinking he was a family member. He told her his aunt's home was on fire and he needed to get there to check on her. Flowers asked him who, and he said, Julia Chambers, no relation to Jessica Chambers. Wow, there's a lot of coincidence here. A lot of these people have the same last names. This is weird. Do you think that's weird, Maxwell?
It's okay.
Flowers knew Julia Chambers, who used to be her hairdresser, and told him she'd give him a ride even though she didn't know him. At the intersection of Old Highway 51 and US 51, not far from Julia Chambers' home, she asked him where she needed to drop him off. He told her this will be fine, she said. Julia Chambers' daughter, Carrie Hinson, testified that she is related to Tellis and that he did not stop by to check on Julia Chambers that night. Julia Chambers took the stand next and said that to her knowledge, Tellis never reached out in any way to check on her. Authorities said that means the hitchhiker, presumed to be Tellis, already knew about the fire at Julia Chambers' house, which put the time that Flowers picked him up well within the time frame of when Tellis would have been trying to get back to his sister's house from the scene of Chambers' death. Also, Flowers, who lives at, wow, they really put her address in this article? That's messed up. Picked up the hitchhiker believed to be Tellis just after leaving her home. And Deputy Tyler Mills testified earlier that Chambers' keys were found not far from Flowers' house. So what does all this mean? Does Flowers not positively identify Tellis as the hitchhiker? This is kind of weird to me. This is weird. Why is this not noted? Okay, medical discussion. Former Mississippi Deputy Medical Examiner Aaron Barnhart conducted Chambers' autopsy and walked the jury through the startling pictures of the damage done to the teen's body. The cause, she said, was thermal injuries and soot and smoke inhalation. During Barnhart's testimony, Ben Chambers covered his ears and looked at the ground so he wouldn't have to hear or see what had happened to his daughter. His wife, Debbie Chambers, was crying audibly at one point. Assistant District Attorney Jay Hale and Defense Attorney Darla Palmer both talked back and forth with Barnhart about the nature of Chambers' injuries, with the defense to clarify their position that Chambers was not badly burned enough not to be able to speak clearly. The prosecution tried to show that she was by having Barnhart explain Chambers' burns, both inside and out. Palmer stuck on a statement that Chambers' tongue was atraumatic, but Barnhart explained that that term means that the muscles are uninjured. Her tongue was burned and swollen, as were her vocal cords, which were covered with soot as well, Barnhart said. So what is that? What does all that information tell us?
I don't know.
Were you paying attention?
Well, she died of smoke inhalation and forgot the rest.
That was the last sentence of the article. You didn't hear anything else?
I did, but I forgot.
That's messed up. That's really messed up. So I spent all that time reading and you couldn't pay attention?
I heard it, but I can't remember it.
All right, so I can't find any evidence whether they specifically mentioned that they did a rape kit. So, all right, here's an article with more details. This is from WREG.com. Jury selected in Jessica Chambers' case. Trial begins Tuesday. This was posted October 9th, 2017. Jury selection began Monday in the Jessica Chambers murder trial, and District Attorney John Champion confirmed around 4 p.m. that jurors had been selected. Champion said the jury is made up of 7 men, 5 women. The trial was started at 1 Tuesday afternoon. Prosecutors said Quinton Tellis doused the 19-year-old former high school cheerleader with a flammable liquid, set her ablaze, and then left her to die beside her burning car along a back road near a North Mississippi tree farm nearly 3 years ago in Courtland. The 29-year-old man has pleaded not guilty to murder charges. What we know, in December 2014, surveillance video showed Chambers was at a gas station less than 2 hours before she was found. Wearing a sweater and pajama pants that looked like sweatpants, she put $14 worth of gas into her car, more than the $5 or so she usually purchased. Allie Fidel, a clerk at the gas station, told the Associated Press in the days after her death. I asked her, why are you putting in so much gas? She said, I'm going somewhere, Fidel said. On her way out, Chambers got a call on her cell phone, Fidel said. At around 8 p.m., firefighters discovered Chambers was set on fire and left to die beside her burning car. She had burns to over 98% of her body. She died several hours later at a Memphis hospital. The main question investigators tried to determine early on in the case was where Chambers was between the time she was spotted at the gas station at 6:30 p.m. and when fire crews discovered her on fire at 8 p.m. While they have not revealed anything specific, Champion said they have absolutely filled that hour in. The prosecutor has not revealed to reporters what Chambers told firefighters when they found her. That, along with other information on how that day unfolded, will be revealed in court. Investigators early on because they received no information from street sources, leading them to theorize that the killing was committed by one person who told no one what happened, Champion had said. More than 20,000 telephone numbers as part of the investigation. More than 150 people were questioned, and investigators traveled to Iowa and Chattanooga, Tennessee. Although Champion said he believed it was a personal crime and not related to drug or gang activity, 17 suspected gang members were arrested as a result of the investigation. Criminal history. Tellis, a reported friend of the victim, was indicted in February 2016, more than a year after Chambers' death. In 2010, he was sentenced to 5 years for burglary and a felon fleeing authority. He only served about a year. In 2012, shortly after he got out of prison, he was back in trouble, charged with another burglary, and sentenced to 8 more years. He was released from prison in October 2014, 2 months before the Chambers' killing. WREG investigators found other incidents on Tellis's record, including DUI, larceny, and even a simple assault where he was charged with beating a woman. The woman's family said what happened to her was brutal after she refused his advances. We got a history of behavior here. She called and told me about 7 people jumped on her, and Quinton was one of them. She said she had asked for a ride home. They gave her a ride home. They tried to sleep with her, and when she didn't sleep with them, they tried to rape her, said Amma Reeves Nelson, the sister of the woman attacked. Tellis never served time on that 2009 attack. It was a misdemeanor. That's kind of messed up. What the heck? There's 7 people. So it seems like they were, I don't know if they were all men or not, but even if only some of them were men, 7 people, Quinton is one of them, are beating up a woman and he doesn't serve time on that? Does that seem weird to you or what?
Mm, yeah, how old was he? I mean, it depends, I guess, on that age.
It doesn't say. He must, I mean, going back that many years, it doesn't say, but 2009. So if he was 29 in 2017, yeah, so he would have been what, 20?
Okay.
So he would have been an adult. So that's all you got? You don't think it's weird? I asked you if it was weird.
What's weird?
Oh man, Max Alarmy getting crazy. If there's 7
Oh, the
people beating up a
the
woman,
7 people. Yeah,
and
yeah,
one of them is around a 20-year-old Quinton Tellis,
yeah, yeah.
and he just gets away with it. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's
Huh.
bad enough if it was just him beating her up, but I mean, you have that many people beating up one person, one woman. I mean, that's just messed up, man.
Yeah,
Messed up.
that's crazy.
But if he's got a history of beating up women who are refusing his advances, that really doesn't look good, does it?
Nah.
And he's also got another murder charge. Tellis faces another murder indictment in Louisiana, where he's accused in the torture death of Meng Chen Xiao, a 34-year-old Taiwanese graduate student at the University of Louisiana at Monroe. That indictment alleges that Tellis probably stabbed Xiao more than 30 times in her face and body with a knife to get her to reveal her debit card's PIN number before killing her on July 29th, 2015. Wow. So that would be about a half a year after Chambers. He was extradited to Mississippi from Louisiana in June after pleading guilty to fraudulent use of Xiao's card. What in the heck? So if he's pleading guilty to using her card, how did he get her card? Tellis faces life in prison without parole if convicted, according to an April 18th court filing in which state prosecutors disclosed that they wouldn't seek the death penalty. All right, so obviously not looking good for Tellis, huh?
Yeah, no. And I think from he wasn't found guilty, right? He was let go.
Mistrial. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Mistrial, yeah.
all right,
Huh.
let's look at some more info. So this is an article by Catherine Townsend. 5 key facts about the Jessica Chambers murder case. Why was the small town cheerleader burned alive? Jessica Chambers suffered an agonizing death. Firefighters saw her walking towards them wearing only her underwear and burned over 93% of her body. On December 6, 2014, a beautiful 19-year-old cheerleader named Jessica Chambers was set on fire in the small town of Courtland, Mississippi. Despite suffering from smoke inhalation and having been severely burned on almost her entire body, Chambers managed to escape. Tragically, she died the next day of her injuries. The murder case shocked a small town and made headlines around the nation, and the man accused of killing her, Quinton Tellis, ended in a hung jury last fall. Legal analyst Beth Karras, who worked in the New York District Attorney's Office and appears in the upcoming Oxygen documentary Unspeakable Crime: The Killing of Jessica Chambers, spoke to Crime Feed about the case. Race and the missing white woman syndrome. Some commenters have pointed to Chambers' murder as an example of missing white woman or beautiful dead girl syndrome. That is, the idea that an attractive white female victims in general tend to get more attention from the public and from the media. But Karras said that for her, the murder is most memorable due to the horrific nature of the crime. It was a terrible crime. I don't know if I ever had covered a case where a person was burned alive, Karras told Crime Feed. By all accounts, Chambers suffered an agonizing death. Firefighters responded to a report of a torched car, saw her walking toward them wearing only her underwear, and critically burned over 93% of her body. Some commentators have pointed out that Jessica's murder stoked racial divides in the town. Armchair detectives took to social media and sleuthed various suspects in the town. BuzzFeed got the story, and it seemed like the entire internet was trying to answer the question: who set Jessica Chambers on fire? Ironically, Chambers' friends and family say that she was a person who befriended people of all races. She had black friends and black boyfriends, including boyfriend Travis Sanford, who was incarcerated at the time of Chambers' killing. Karras said that she understands why the jury was undecided. I understand the indecision because it's a reflection of the community, Karras said. Even after seeing all of the evidence, people remained unconvinced. The other murder. Tellis is a suspect in a second killing, the torture and murder of Meng Chen Xiao, an international graduate student at the University of Louisiana in Monroe in 2015. Xiao's body was found at her apartment on August 8th, 2015. Police believe that the 34-year-old had been tortured and stabbed more than 30 times, according to KNOE TV, in order to force her to reveal the PIN code to her debit card. Police found her body 10 days later when a neighbor called about inactivity at her apartment. Tellis has not been indicted by a Louisiana jury in connection with Xiao's death, but circumstantial evidence links him to the crime. He was caught using Xiao's debit cards after her murder, and police have obtained cell phone and ATM data that they say places him at the scene. Now, hold on a second, Maxwell. You said he was worried about his DNA possibly being left in the vehicle, and that's why he burned the vehicle and Jessica Chambers. So this is a half a year later. So whether you want to call it older and wiser or whatever, but this is a criminal here who has a history of crime. 6 months later, he's gonna use the debit cards, like why of someone who died. Why would he do that? Oh, that's a little strange. That I mean, ooh, that's kind of weird. That almost yeah, it's rough because if he found it, or well, how would he know the pin? So yeah, he would have had to get the pin. So it's not like he just found a credit card. And they have yeah. So if they have the ATM video and he's using her ATM card with her pin, and he knows that ATMs have video. I mean, explain that one, Maxwell.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean, at least wear a mask or something.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I mean, once again, if his IQ isn't that high, he might be kind of just doing whatever. But yeah, it's a little weird. Karras notes that Xiao's murder investigation in Louisiana originally led Mississippi detectives to Tellis. The trail was going cold in Mississippi when he got locked up in Louisiana, she said, adding that Mississippi investigators got a break when Louisiana police called and notified them they had someone in custody from their country. Jurors in the upcoming trial for Chambers' murder could potentially be influenced by evidence from the Xiao case. But Karras pointed out that none of the evidence from Xiao's case will be admissible. The Eric Derrick debate. A key piece of evidence in the case occurred when at least 8 first responders testified that Chambers claimed a man named Eric or Derrick had set her on fire. This piece of information obviously helped Quinton Tellis' case since defense attorneys pointed out that she knew Quinton's name. Tellis' defense attorney, Darla Palmer, accused District Attorney John Champion of allegedly trying to pressure another client of Palmer's who was charged with capital murder in another case to testify that Jessica Chambers used to refer to Quinton Tellis as Eric. That's kind of weird. According to an affidavit, Palmer accused Champion of numerous ethical violations, prosecutorial misconduct, and potential criminal violations. Karras said that the judge concluded that any potential prosecutorial misconduct by Champion was not prejudicial to Tellis. The cell phone evidence. Intelligence analyst Paul Rowlett testified that Chambers' and Tellis' phone data and claimed that phone data put Chambers and Tellis together at the same location just before or possibly even during Chambers' murder. The defense team had questioned Rowlett about the accuracy of the data. Hold on a second. If they have Tellis' cell phone, wouldn't they know if he was that mysterious hitchhiker going to his aunt's house or whatever?
I see.
Or I guess they do know. It's just, for some reason, none of these articles point that out. Another troubling point for the defense is the fact that Tellis deleted all the texts and calls between he and Chambers after her death. Tellis, who has always maintained his innocence, stated that he deleted the data because he did not want a dead person's information in his phone. But didn't they say he deleted it right after? So was that before everyone knew she was dead? I don't know. The cell phone data appears damning, but according to Karras, cell phone tower pings and other related evidence are not always conclusive, especially in rural areas where there are only a few towers. In these cases, she says, experts have told her that the location of the cell phone can only be narrowed down to around 2 to 10 or 20 square mile area. That's a big difference between 2 to 10 to 20. I mean, that's almost useless information. The new witnesses. After the mistrial, prosecutors immediately announced their intention to retry the case. The jury selection for the retrial is set for September 24th. According to Karras, the first jury came from Pike County and was sequestered, while the new jury will come from Oktibbeha County. Oktibbeha County, and there will be new witnesses, including a speech expert. The prosecution has given notice of a speech pathologist, she said, who could potentially testify to the effects of severe burns on speech. All right, so here's some more info. Article published October 16th, 2017. Everything you need to know about the day Jessica Chambers was burned alive. Tellis claims the two had sex in Chambers' car. Prosecutors say they never had sex, but something happened inside the car to where he rendered her unconscious. And this is an article by Emma Kerr. The last thing the jury heard before entering into deliberations Sunday was a possible timeline for the night Jessica Chambers was murdered. The jury has now deliberated for approximately 6 hours and continues that process Monday morning. While prosecutors argue that the evidence points to Quinton Tellis, 29, as Jessica's murderer, defense attorneys said investigators failed to make the pieces of the puzzle fit, leaving out key details. Quinton Tellis has pleaded not guilty of the murder of Chambers. Prosecutors used cell phone records, a gas station video camera, and witness testimony to lay out a timeline for December 6, 2014, the day Chambers was killed. They say she woke up around 9 a.m. and texted Tellis, who said he had also just woken up. Chambers is seen on camera pulling into a nearby gas station and then pulling into Tellis's driveway to pick him up. For the next hour or so, they rode around together with Chambers' friend, Kesha Myers. Several times that morning, the three passed the area on a rural road where Chambers would be found severely burned that night. It says several times that morning. Prosecutors argued this showed Tellis knew that rural road. Chambers dropped off Tellis at his residence before noon. Chambers and Tellis continued to exchange text messages. He wrote, "I need you." Chambers responded, "What you need." Tellis wrote, "Some lovin'." She wrote, "Oh Lord, can't." Prosecutors say this was the fourth time that week Tellis had asked to have sex with Chambers, and she turned him down each time. According to testimony from Chambers' mother, Lisa Daugherty, Chambers took a nap that afternoon and her phone goes inactive. She is woken up by a call from Tellis, and by 5 or 5:15 p.m., Chambers left home. At 5:30 p.m., Tellis calls her to have her pick him up, according to Tellis' own 2016 statement to police and phone records. They went to get food, then returned to Tellis' house, where Tellis said they were smoking weed. Though Tellis' statements to police changed over the course of questioning, here, Tellis' statements and prosecutors' assertions differ. Prosecutors say Tellis lied about when and if he and Chambers had sex. State's attorney John Champion said the state believes they never had sex at all, but rather that it was this time Tellis may have tried to have sex with her, reclining the passenger seat, but instead something happened inside that car to where he rendered her unconscious. At 7:10 p.m., cameras captured a car leaving Tellis' driveway. Tellis said in previous interviews that car is a family member leaving. Prosecutors say it was Tellis and Chambers. Is this her car? They said captured a car. At 7:50 p.m., video from a store across the street shows what appears to be headlights pulling into the Tellis family driveway and staying there for 90 seconds. Near the driveway was a shed where Tellis told police he kept a 5-gallon gas can. Wait, Tellis told police that? Why did he tell police that he has a 5-gallon gas can next to the shed? Or in the shed next to the driveway? This isn't looking good, man.
I wonder, how many gallons was used, do you think? Or did they say, or did they estimate? Or
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Doesn't say in this article, but he kept a 5-gallon gas can. I mean, I don't know if they can get it down to the gallons, but I mean, I would think it would have to be more than one, right? Or more than half of one. You'd have to douse the whole
Yeah,
car and
yeah.
her. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. At 8:07 p.m., a passerby called in a report of a car on fire. First responders headed to the scene where they discovered Chambers covered in second and third degree burns, over 93% of her body. Multiple responders said they heard her say Eric when asked who did this to her. Chambers was taken to a nearby church parking lot where she was then airlifted to a hospital in Memphis. Between 8 and 9 p.m., Tellis traveled north to the town of Batesville, where he made stops at a Piggly Wiggly and Fred's before returning to Courtland. He was captured on video finally at the store across the street from his residence. At 7:42 p.m., Tellis texted Chambers that he wouldn't be able to see her that night. Prosecutors believe she was already incapacitated at that time. Phone records indicate that Tellis deleted all of his text exchanges with Chambers once he learned she was dead. Okay, that text message is the worst ever because, I mean, that's the most incriminating because if they've already corroborated to have been together that night and he's texting a cover up text as if somebody's going to check saying that he's not going to be able to see her that night.
Huh, that's funny.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say funny, but yeah, it's messed up.
That's interesting.
Is that going to be your next mug? That's interesting.
It might be.
All right, so it is not looking good for Mr. Tellis here because yeah, it's rough. All right, I'm gonna do one more article. Obviously, this is heinous crime, really, really bad, and these people were all traumatized by the crime as well. I mean, these first responders, they'll probably have nightmares for the rest of their lives. I mean, this is just so horrible. This is from USA Today. Her hair was fried like it had been stuck in a light socket. Rescuer traumatized after seeing Jessica Chambers. This was published October 11th, 2017 by Sarah Fowler. 3 years after a 19-year-old woman was burned alive on a road in rural Mississippi, about 60 miles south of Memphis, a man that she had reportedly had a relationship with is facing the death penalty in connection with her killing. In the first day of trial for Quinton Tellis, now 29, first responder Cole Haley said he was so shaken by his encounter with the badly burned Jessica Chambers that he was traumatized for months. She had her arms out saying, "Help me, help me, help me." Haley testified Tuesday, wiping away tears. Her hair was fried like it had been stuck in a light socket. Her face was black and her body was severely burned. Haley and two other firefighters had responded to a truck driver's call about a car fire December 6, 2014, on Heron Road just outside Courtland, Mississippi. He saw Chambers in the middle of the road, clothed in her underwear and no bra. The former chief of the Courtland Volunteer Fire Department said his first reaction was to get a blanket to wrap around Chambers to help conceal her. After wrapping a blanket around her, Haley walked Chambers to the back of his fire truck. When she couldn't go anymore, he laid her down and she reached out for his hand. He asked her name and she responded, "Jessica Chambers," with her mouth just charred black. Haley said he realized she was trying to say Jessica Chambers. A coroner later would say that Chambers had burns over 98% of her body. Haley told the 7-man, 5-woman jury that he knew Chambers before that night, but the two were not friends. Courtland has about 500 residents. The trial is happening in the Panola County seat here, less than 10 miles from the scene of the crime. Because of worries that Tellis, a black man 8 years older than the white teenage Chambers, would not receive a fair trial amid all the publicity in the unsettling case, the jury was selected more than 200 miles south in Pike County, Mississippi, and transported Monday night to Batesville. In a written statement to investigators hours after the crime, Haley said Chambers told him that someone named Eric had set her on fire. On the witness stand, he backtracked, saying he was in a daze when he made his initial report. "I was face to face with her and you could barely understand her," he said. "She kept asking for water. I did not personally hear her say Eric." A lawyer on Tellis' defense team, Darla Palmer, is using Haley's initial statement as a foundation of her client's defense. In Palmer's opening statement Tuesday, she said at least 8 first responders in the trial, expected to last 2 weeks, will testify that Chambers had said someone named Eric had set her on fire. You know what's weird? I would like to know that Palmer or some of these defense lawyers, does she really think Tellis is innocent or is she just kind of fulfilling her duty? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you heard the details of the case. This guy changed his story a bunch of times, deleted his texts.
Well,
Like,
wait. You're saying like who do you, I mean, I don't know what to think of it.
do you understand the question?
Um, you're saying like why you don't think it's weird for someone to think that he's innocent?
I'm asking. I wonder what his defense attorney, Darla Palmer, what she's thinking. Does she really think he's innocent or not?
I see.
Like, look at all the evidence. Is she just fulfilling her duty as a lawyer and in
I
court,
see.
or does she really think he's innocent? Or yeah, I don't know. It's like the evidence is pretty damning against him.
She's probably just doing her duty and then just trying to figure out how it turns out.
Several first responder witnesses called to the stand Wednesday said she appeared to say Eric, but she was difficult to understand because of her charred mouth and the loudness of rescue equipment in the background. Tellis, who graduated from the same high school as Chambers, was in Batesville buying a prepaid debit card for his girlfriend in Louisiana at the time Chambers was attacked, Palmer said. Prosecutors believe that Tellis intentionally went to the store after Chambers' attack, creating an alibi for himself. On Thursday morning, jurors will visit the site of the fire, M&M Grocery, where security camera footage last recorded Chambers that evening, and Tellis's home nearby, said Major Barry Thompson, lead investigator for the Panola County Sheriff's Department. The field trip will give the Pike County jurors a chance to see firsthand the sites that prosecutor John Champion said will be tied together via cell phone records. Do you think that's customary for juries to like go to all these locations? I haven't really heard of that happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tellis was indicted in February 2016 in connection with Chambers' death as he sat in a Ouachita Parish jail in Monroe, Louisiana. What the jury doesn't know, at least not yet, by July 2016, Tellis was charged with first-degree murder in another case, the July 29, 2015 death of Meng Chen Xiao, 34, of Taiwan. The University of Louisiana Monroe exchange student had been stabbed 34 times until she gave out the personal identification number for her debit card, according to a warrant filed in July 2016. Previously, Tellis had been in the parish jail accused of using Xiao's debit card 3 times after her death. Wow, not once, not twice, but thrice? What the heck? Or I guess he's just trying to empty the account and there's a withdrawal limit? I don't know. In Louisiana, Tellis had also been charged with 1 count of possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, a charge he pleaded guilty to in May 2016. Tellis won't return to Monroe to face trial in the Xiao case until the conclusion of the Chambers trial. In Mississippi, Chambers' best friend, Kesha Myers, told jurors Tuesday that Chambers was selling drugs every day. Chambers' mother told the court that she last spoke to her daughter at 6:48 p.m., about 90 minutes before the truck driver made his call about the car fire. Lisa Chambers said her daughter left the house about 5:15 p.m., saying she was going to clean out her car and get something to eat. Jessica Chambers died at Regional 1 Health Memphis, where she had been airlifted about 4 hours after being lit afire. The prosecution's case in Mississippi will hinge largely on cell phone data that placed Tellis and Jessica Chambers together much of the day she died. Tellis previously told investigators that he had been with Jessica Chambers for part of the night she died, authorities said. Champion said Tellis and Jessica Chambers had sex in the passenger seat of her car, then Tellis smothered her and set her car on fire. You know what's kind of weird? If they check the cell phone data and it matches when they were seen on the surveillance video, that could give us a clue to how accurate that data is, right? Because if they're saying it could be 10 to 20 miles off, if it's not an hour earlier or that morning or whatever, I mean, that would point to it being pretty accurate, right?
Yeah.
The timeline of him at the store is also weird. All right, so what do you think? I mean, this is obviously a brutal murder, but what are the chances that it wasn't Tellis? And if they're saying she's selling drugs, which is also, I wanted to touch upon that. If she's just selling marijuana in small amounts, I mean, I don't know. Obviously that doesn't necessarily, she could be involved and have friends who are of a fairly criminal element, but not necessarily, the worst of the worst gangsters or things like that of that nature or street gang members. If it's just, random teenagers or college kids that want marijuana, I mean, I don't know. Do you think it could have been some rogue drug dealer that just set her as on fire for whatever reason? If there was a money dispute or something, it doesn't explain. Like Tellis's behavior is very strange. You have prior history. He beat a woman who refused his advances before, and he also has a murder charge of a victim whose debit card he used 3 times. I mean, it doesn't look good, does it?
Nah, his record definitely doesn't look good.
So, what do you think? It was him?
Um, uh, I I don't know. There's no one else as bad as him, and the text messages. I don't know. It just
All right, let's
there.
um
Yeah.
let's examine this Eric info, and we'll see if there are other suspects. So I think the task force and the Oxygen show on this case. I think the task force said that they actually interviewed like 30 or 40 Erics and Dereks in a very large area. So I mean, they definitely did some homework, and there was definitely a pretty big investigation. And real quick, the other thing we didn't really talk about is the racial issues in this case. I mean, there were some who were critical because the case wasn't covered on media anywhere near as much as, for example, like police brutality against a black person, because this didn't really fit the agenda of media to cover a white woman killed by a black criminal or whatnot. So there were people that were unhappy with the coverage of this case, and yeah, it was definitely in the background of this case the entire time. But all right, I mean, do you have any thoughts on that or no?
Um. I don't know. I'm trying to understand the psychology behind a person burning another person. It doesn't seem efficient. So I don't know, man. It's just I don't understand it.
I mean,
So
it really does seem like it's more likely to be some kind of a gang thing, right?
yeah, because like I can't imagine if someone's like you know desiring a girl and burning her up. It just doesn't sound.
All right, well, let's get to other suspects. So, like I said, the task force interviewed a bunch of Erics and Dereks. Supposedly, they ruled all of them out. That's what they said. Now, we don't know exactly what constituted ruling them out. I mean, was it a definitive alibi, or was it, someone who said, "Oh, I was at this person's house, and that person is their friend," and they corroborated the alibi, and that was the end of that, and they didn't research further, and they considered that ruled out. I don't know, but here's something really really weird. So some people think that a man named Eric Hill is the real killer of Jessica Chambers. Here is an article in the Clarion Ledger. Court document. Tellis's victim tortured to death. Meng Chen Xiao of Taiwan was stabbed over 30 times in her Monroe, Louisiana apartment before she gave her debit card PIN to her killer, a law enforcement officer said in court record. And this was published July 7th, 2016. Teresa Apel. Monroe Police Detective Dwayne Cookson's affidavit also stated that killer is one known to Mississippians as being the suspect in one of the most notorious homicides in recent years. Quinton Tellis, who was charged in the 2014 Panola County burning death of Jessica Chambers, has been accused of torturing Xiao to death on her bedroom floor. He was indicted in the Mississippi homicide as he sat in jail in Ouachita Parish, Louisiana in February, and then an arrest warrant for the Louisiana homicide was filed on Thursday as he sat in jail in DeSoto County. After gaining possession of the debit card, he brutally murdered her by repeatedly stabbing her and letting her body rot and decompose until being discovered, read part of Cookson's statement included in the Louisiana arrest warrant. The homicide allegedly took place on July 29th, and her body was found August 8th. As authorities worked the death scene, Tellis was celebrating his wedding to Chiquita Jackson. While they weren't immediately connected, police knew Tellis knew Xiao because they were seen together on a Walmart security video, and a neighbor also provided a license plate number of a man who gave her a creepy feeling. She told police that man, whom she later identified as Tellis, had been in Xiao's apartment July 27th and 28th. She had heard them arguing. Oh, it just keeps getting worse and worse for Tellis. Xiao had friends and neighbors nearby, but her family was in Taiwan. It was 10 days before her body was found inside her apartment. Someone had made an attempt to clean the crime scene, the warrant stated. Police said that means there's no DNA to tie Tellis to the crime scene, but authorities held that the data trail and witness statements were enough to arrest him. Other evidence included a receipt for 7 cents from a local gas station paid with Xiao's card found in Tellis's bedroom. Search warrants for phone and bank records showed calls to Xiao's bank from Tellis's phone on the day she died. And GPS records showed Tellis more than likely was inside Xiao's apartment. Withdrawals from a Vicksburg ATM coincide with phone records and statements that Tellis and Jackson were there that day. A pair of tennis shoes was found in an outside storage shed, and then they had been spray painted white, according to an affidavit. Under the paint were dark stains police believed to be blood. Did they not test them? What the heck? Jackson told police Tellis didn't work but stayed home and watched her son. When he wasn't doing that, she said, he was with her cousin, Eric Hill. So Eric Hill is Quinton Tellis's wife's cousin. Hill initially told police that another man named Curtis Lemons had allegedly told him he had stabbed Xiao until she gave up the PIN to her debit card. Hill then picked Lemons out of a phone lineup but wouldn't initial it. He then looked at another lineup that included Tellis and said he didn't know anyone in it. The plot thickens, Maxwell. The plot thickens. Court documents stated Hill told police Xiao was stabbed and sliced in various ways meant to inflict pain until she gave up the pin, and that not all the wounds were meant to kill her. Details only the killer would know. So that's what Hill told police. That's kind of weird. Don't you think police would become suspicious of Hill?
Yeah.
If he's
Wait.
talking about how Xiao was stabbed and sliced, and that they weren't, and that those wounds weren't meant to kill her, that's kind of weird. Or unless he said that the killer confessed to him. Yeah, he said that some guy named Lemons or whoever, yeah, Curtis Lemons, told him he had stabbed Xiao. So he had information direct from the killer. And then he didn't initial it, and then he said he didn't recognize Tellis in the lineup, even though obviously he knew who he was. Lemons was cleared. When police confronted Hill with the fact that they knew he was Jackson's cousin and associated with Tellis, Hill admitted he knew the details because Tellis had told him, and that he had wanted to frame Lemons. Hill told police he and Tellis were telling war stories about their criminal histories, even trying to one-up each other. That's messed up. That's pretty dark. When Tellis told him about going to a lady's house where he robbed her of her credit cards, beat her up pretty bad, and stabbed her. Meanwhile, Tellis faces arraignment in Mississippi in Chambers' case on July 15th. All right, does this change your opinion at all, Maxwell? Is it possible that that the cousin of Quinton Tellis' wife, or future wife, Chiquita Jackson, where was Eric Hill on the night of Chambers' murder?
Yeah, I don't know where he was.
Does this cast some doubt? So some people actually think that since Chiquita Jackson, who's Tellis's wife, I mean, I'm sure they interviewed her, but it would be interesting if they did some kind of brain fingerprint lie detector scan on her because did Tellis tell her something? And then how is this Eric Hill character? He obviously knows Tellis and they share war stories. So if Tellis did kill Jessica Chambers, Eric Hill would know, or Eric Hill might be involved. What do you think? Does this change any of your perception of this case?
Um, yeah, because, wait, but Tellus had the card, right? It wasn't Eric, right?
Correct, correct. But Eric knew all the details, so did Quinton really tell him what happened? Or we don't know. If they were friends, what if is it
Ah,
possible? Is it possible Eric they were friends and Eric Hill gave him the debit card with the ATM info? I mean with the PIN code. But here's
I
the
could
other
see it.
if they were both, if both Eric Hill and Quinton Tellis were seeing Xiao, because there were people who said they saw Quinton Tellis there, it'd also be interesting if they had ever been questioned and asked about Eric Hill, if Eric Hill had also been in Xiao's apartment. Because it seems like it is a fact that Tellis was somehow involved with Xiao. They were on video in a Walmart camera and witnesses plays and tell us his cell phone info place him in Xiao's apartment. So she might have been involved with him, but was she also involved with this Eric Hill character? What if Eric Hill killed Xiao and then he framed Tellis? Keep in mind this is 6 months after the Chambers murder. So they could have also both possibly killed Chambers. We don't know.
I see.
And it seems like Shakita Jackson would definitely know something. I mean, I don't know. Like that would be or Chiquita Jackson. Hmm.
I don't understand the Jessica Chambers 14-gallon purchase of gasoline.
So normally she purchases 5 gallons. Like so it's like a routine thing.
Yeah.
And on that particular afternoon she purchased 15. So she purchased 3 times the amount, which suggested that she was going 3 times the distance that she normally went. And she said she was going somewhere.
That's interesting. So I'm thinking maybe she had plans to meet with someone to go somewhere far.
Eric Hill?
Well, anybody, because being burnt at a location that's only like 30 minutes. How long? How
Well,
far
the
away was it?
location was pretty close by to where, to
It was like
Chambers.
2 miles, a mile or something, right?
It was close by.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
She went
she
somewhere
must.
else first. Yeah,
Yeah.
they went there. But here's the thing yeah,
So she was probably duped to be going somewhere far and then met there. I
did
don't
they
know.
knock her out and drive the car back? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It seems like it was close to Tellis's sister's place. So what does Tellis's sister know? Does she know something? And he just happened to keep gasoline there? And Tellis admitted that. So there's a lot of missing pieces here. Why would Tellis admit that he keeps a 5 gallon gas can in his sister's shed?
Yes. That's crazy.
He's got an ever changing story. If they were, here's the other thing though, if they were friends and then they weren't, so 6 months later, Eric Hill gives up Quinton Tellis. Why does Tellis, if Hill was involved in the Chambers murder, do you think Tellis would have gave him up or no? Because if he had an accomplice, they might lessen the charge. Or did they attempt to do that and they wouldn't bargain, so that's why Tellis didn't say anything? In any case, I mean, this Hill character is kind of interesting, right? Because this is his future wife's cousin. Is that just a coincidence? I mean, I don't know. Here's the other thing, though. Supposedly, Tellis had his phone on when he was killing Xiao in her apartment, and that matched the location. You know what also messed up? If they, I don't know. Like, yeah, so it seems like Hill probably didn't kill Xiao unless they killed her together. I don't know. Because you can't, I mean, are you going to trust their words? You're going to trust Hill's word? I mean, this is a criminal who is exchanging criminal stories. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we could take any of their words at face value. What do you think?
No. No.
Some people also think that there's something weird going on with some of the locals. Of course, in all these cases, there are anomalies. So Tellis's family, his sister, other people, they know what happened, and it possibly involves other people as well. So, but I guess nobody's really said anything. We're gonna have to dig a lot deeper into all of these loose ends. So, yeah, for whatever reason, if there was some kind of a weird drug connection to something, and Eric wanted to kill Chambers, and they kind of used Tellis to do it, possibly even threatened Tellis. I mean, I don't know. Just coming up with various theories. Since she knew Tellis, she had hung out with him that morning. What else was going on? And there seems to be a lot of, yeah, just not hard looking at Eric Hill, and these connections are a little bizarre. And we also have to confirm the hitchhiker. I mean, I would think that that Flowers woman would have positively identified Tellis, don't you think? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So, a lot of loose ends, but yeah, we'll have to be going down quite a few rabbit holes in this tragic, and horrible murder. I mean, it's bizarre, but yeah, just really, really terrible. So we hope you enjoyed another edition of Mindshock True Crime. If you like our podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. If you like the video, hit the like button. And feel free to share this across social media platforms. Any questions, comments, share your theories or thoughts of any kind, leave it in the comments section. Make sure to like our Facebook page, and you can also catch us on Twitter, Reddit, and Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off.
And Maxwell Powers.
Catch you guys next time.